Welcome to 10-5, the official podcast of the OPP Association. I'm one of your co-hosts, Scott Mills.
And I'm Emily Brown. The OPP Association represents nearly 10,000 members of the Ontario Provincial Police in Canada. Our members are our greatest strength, and we're dedicated to keeping our members and the public informed about key issues that impact policing across Ontario.
Thanks, Emily. This is actually going to be our last episode of 2024 and our 133rd episode since we launched the podcast in June of 2021. And we're quite honored today to welcome OPP Commissioner Thomas Carrique and OPP Association President John Cerasuolo for an episode titled the 2024 Year in Review. So welcome, Commissioner, and welcome, John.
Thank you very much, Scott.
Yep, thanks, Scott. Thanks, Emily, as well. Thank you to you both for arranging this podcast, and thank you, Commissioner, for taking the time out of your day today and always being willing to participate in this podcast. I know this is our third one now that we're doing this year in review. So thank you very much, Commissioner.
Well, thank you, John. I do appreciate you as the president of the OPPA inviting me to join you and Scott and Emily on the podcast. I know that this reaches almost all of our members, and it's a very sought-after communication tool. So really happy to be here and have the opportunity through you to connect with our members.
Now, we've assembled some questions to ask each one of you, and we will look forward to a great discussion.
So right off the top, Commissioner, we'd like to congratulate you on being elected to be the president of the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police.
Thank you very much, Scott. It's a real honor and privilege to represent the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police. It's a really dedicated group of police leaders from across the country, and I have certainly witnessed on my time on the board how the focus has really intensified with the chiefs right across the country to be really committed to the well-being and safety of their members. Their commitment to bail reform alongside the OPPA and other police associations was evident over the last few years. So truly pleased to be having the opportunity to help them along as the president and be a part of that team as well.
So I'm going to kick it over to you, John. So first of all, congratulations on achieving a new uniform and civilian collective agreements in 2024 for the OPPA members.
Well, thanks, Emily. We were really happy with the outcome of our collective agreement. Of course, we're still implementing that as well as working on other aspects. For example, our benefits into the last part of the quarter here and more than likely into the first quarter of 2025 as well. But, I just want to say thanks to the membership for their patience due to the fact that we had to wait it out. Bill 124, of course, was, being challenged through the courts, and it was one of our strategies to wait until that was completed. So that basically took us into 18 months without a contract. And, we didn't want to limit our members to the 1% over 3 years of any contract. We just went in with that goal of we wanted to be near the top and at the top. And we put really good proposals forward to get to that point, and quite happy with the outcome. Of course, we were number 2 for 23 and number 1 in 24, 25, and 26. Short-lived, of course, due to a lot of the other police associations going to the table. But, in 2026, we're still sitting in the top 3, and we're still sitting number 1 in 25 for the upcoming year. So that's very, very positive. I'm grateful to our negotiations team. They did an excellent job. We worked well together. It was a long process, but at the same time, our job is not completed with just a ratification. And, we did have a strong voter turnout as well as a strong ratification vote in support of our contract. So I just want to say thanks to the membership for just continually supporting us. throughout the process, as well as management who, of course, it starts with the commissioner as well, listening to our needs, the things that are near and dear to our hearts, and to the membership. There's things that, help the members. Compensation is a big thing as well. And I think we have that ultimate goal between the two of us, that we want to have happy members, employees, as well as we want to be able to attract employees to the OPP, members to the OPPA, as well as retain those members. So that was a huge experience for us. And I think we accomplished a lot of things with that contract. Turn it back over to you.
Thanks, John. It brings me to a question for you, Commissioner. Since we passed this contract, our inbox here at the OPPA and our media requests, we've seen a number of stories out there about the increase to cost in policing for you municipalities. Are you able to comment on that in any way?
Yes, certainly I can, Scott. And first and foremost, I do want to thank John again and the board, the OPPA board. We absolutely need to have a current agreement in place for our members. They need to have that certainty. They absolutely need to be competitively compensated with the other police services across the province. And in particular, as the Provincial Police Service, we've got some additional responsibilities that other services may not be tasked with, and it makes us distinctly different. We police different communities. We have different challenges. And I am very, very pleased that the provincial government recognized the value, as they always do under this current government, that our members provide to the communities and to the province, and ensured that they have been fairly compensated and provided with the benefits that they and their families require. Lots of media attention, as you've identified, Scott, in relation to the impact on municipal policing bills as a result of the increase in salaries and wages. There is a direct impact on municipal policing bills. A good portion of our budget is salary driven. We are a people business, and very grateful to the ministry for working through this with our Municipal Policing Bureau to bring some relief to municipalities. One of the things I've been really focused on is communicating with the police chiefs through the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police, so there's no confusion. First and foremost, the OPP did not receive any additional funding as it relates to the $77 million that has been discounted from the bills. The municipalities have not received any additional funding. It is a discount in revenue. So the municipalities will get some relief in terms of the impact to their policing bills, but we are not in receipt of that $77 million. And I think that's been an important distinction to make with other police services. Have also spent some time making sure that they understand that we have an approved budget, a budget that gets approved by the ministry, that then gets approved by the minister, that then gets approved by Treasury Board and Cabinet. And as a result of that, the province has financial responsibility for the OPP, which is different. When a municipal police service seeks a budget increase for either increasing staffing or an increase in wages, the province has no say in that. They have no approval process. They have no oversight. So we are distinctly different. Other police services receive over $500 million in grants from the province. So they are also being financially supported. And we spent in 2023 over $40 million in salaries assisting other police services. So these are all reasons why we are distinctly different, and we shouldn't be looking at, us and our municipalities where we police 329 of them, the exact same as municipalities that have municipal services. And, the same is not always fair. Very, very confident that we have done the right thing in relation to providing some financial relief. And we have absolutely done the right thing in ensuring that our people are competitively compensated.
Now, staying On the topic of the contract, John, we know that the OPP Association negotiates benefits outside of the collective bargaining process, referred to as the benefits transfer agreement. Can you explain where negotiations are for benefits?
Yeah, so just to take everyone back to our collective agreement negotiations, we were trying, because the benefits transfer agreement, which is our funding agreement for basically the portfolio of benefits that we do have for our current active membership and retirees and survivors within the OPPA. We self-administer our benefits, so we basically look after our portfolio of benefits through an administrator, which is called Target Administrators. So that's been expired. So at the same time that we were doing our collective agreement, we attempted to do the benefits transfer agreement as well. And at the same time, like I said previously, we were 18 months into this contract negotiation with delays, of course, that I explained. And we didn't want to delay it any further. So we've always done the benefits transfer agreement funding and enhancements related to that outside of regular collective bargaining. Even though we attempted to do that all at once, we knew that it was going to be a longer process and it was going to delay concluding our collective agreement negotiations. So what we did is we parsed that piece out with a letter that we would do a joint review in the fall, which we've done. So we're currently trying to get together now and have further discussions on what our proposals look like. We would like to present that to the government, as well as continue our negotiations on the funding agreement, the benefits transfer agreement. We're going to continue that as well as we also have a renewal to do as well, with 2024 coming to an end. We also have to solidify the rates for our benefits as well. So there's three components there, and it always takes time because it's data driven. It's based on claims experience, and we're always trying to get the most up-to-date data, and it's very difficult when it comes to benefits because there is a lag from our claims experience as well as so when you have that lag, the funding piece, it's very difficult to forecast because things do change rapidly, and you also have to take into consideration other factors such as like what the economy is doing. So the economic status of what's happening with inflation, things like that. So and we have to come to, we have to have those discussions, and you go back and forth and you find the common ground. And at the same time, we did the joint analysis with regards to our benefits. And once again, something that we went into bargaining with is we want to be very competitive, just like the commissioner said in his comments, that we want to be competitive with our policing partners when it comes to our benefits as well. We want to remain competitive within the market, and we're going to work through that process as quick as we can. I did refer to Bill 124. That was slated across the whole OPS, the whole Ontario government, public sector. So with that, a lot of the government is now back at the table as well with Treasury Board and negotiations branch. They handle all the negotiations within the government. So, that we have to share the time to get in and continue to have those negotiations with respect to benefits. Our goal is to do it quickly and efficiently and to get a successful package back to our membership. So I don't have timelines at this moment in time, but, we are working hard as a negotiations team. Back over to you.
Thanks for that, John. This question goes over to the commissioner, and we've seen an increase in assaults on police officers throughout Ontario the past few years. And this year at the annual OPPA annual general meeting, you were asked about this by our membership, and you provided a very detailed answer about what you were doing about this increase. And I thought it was quite a lot of work that you'd done on this, and I was wondering if you could explain this for us here on the podcast.
Yeah, I would be happy to, Scott, and it's unfortunate that we have to have this conversation because you're absolutely right. There has been an increase in violence perpetrated against our police officers, and police officers right across the country have resulted in serious injury and, as we all know all too well, death as well. We have taken this extremely seriously as an organization. We actually established a working group that I'm grateful for the association for being a part of. We reviewed all of the assault police incidents, all of the resist arrest incidents that we had. We identified that there were a number of changes that we needed to make, not only in how we were categorizing these incidents, how we were tracking them through the courts, but how we were assigning them and investigating them. And one of the most significant changes was ensuring that a separate investigator was actually assigned to be the OIC of the incident and not the officer who was the victim of the assault. Actually tracking them through the courts to ensure that we're getting the appropriate commitment to prosecute these cases, and we're watching closely the outcomes and then following up with MAG on any concerns. We actually led an initial review into all of the police homicides that took place in 2022, 2023, and incidents in 2024 on behalf of the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police. We've identified some opportunities to advocate for legislative change as it relates to bail reform, which we've already done a fair amount of work on alongside the association, but also opportunities to look at training, equipment, and other items. Part two to that, and the reason I mention it in this context, is we are looking to partner with the Canadian Police Association to expand the review of not only homicides of police officers, but injuries in general. I was talking to Chief Myron Dempkew from Toronto back in September, and they had close to 700 incidents where their officers had been injured via an assault for the year to date, which, one, is too many and unacceptable. Close to 700 is just something that cannot be tolerated, and we can't continue to sit back and allow this to happen without taking action.
Well, Commissioner, that leads beautifully into what we've got lined up to ask you next, and that's bail reform. And I know that's a topic near and dear to both your heart and John's heart. And we've heard about bail reform at the political level and in the media on a very regular basis. And you did note that there has been some progress and some change on it. You both have spoken out in the recent past about your personal thoughts on bail. And Commissioner, you first. What are your thoughts on bail reform specifically?
Well, thanks again, Scott. My initial thoughts right now are, yeah, we can certainly look back and see that there was some legislative change as a result of all of the advocacy, but I'm not seeing evidence of the intention of that change actually playing itself out in increasing officer and public safety. We're not seeing the repeat violent offenders that are putting our officers and communities at risk necessarily being detained for the period of time between the charge and the actual trial. We are not seeing appropriate sentencing to go beyond bail that serves as a deterrence and keeps these violent offenders where they belong, which is incarcerated. So until we start seeing a more judicious application of this law, of the new provisions under bail, and we start seeing minimum sentences being imposed for certain crimes, we're not going to see the changes that our officers should be demanding, and they most certainly deserve. So it continues to be a priority for us as an organization, and I know for the association, and there's lots of talks going on as well between the CACP and the Canadian Police Association as to what the next steps need to be to continue to demand the change that is required.
Now, John, as Scott had alluded to before, you also have commented publicly about that. Would you like to comment on your thoughts on what's needed regarding bail reform?
Absolutely. I can say, though, that I share the same position as the commissioner. But I've been very happy to start, that we're hearing renewed talks about mandatory minimum sentences. And you know what? I think we need to have this discussion. Although, in past governments, removed mandatory minimum sentences. I think we need to have this talk when it comes to violent repeat offenders. Like, if your community is not safe, your police officers are not safe, public safety is at risk. So I think we do need to have these, continued discussions. And I know as the OPP Association, we strongly advocate for that. We have to ensure that, offenders face the appropriate consequences when they're, in front of the courts. Another piece is, when we talk bail reform, I've always spoken to, when we're talking about sureties and non-cash deposits for people to get released, we should see more cash deposits. So when people do violate their bail, their conditions, there should be some accountability piece there, so that there is that accountability piece, that they will not reoffend. And there's the chance of losing a substantial amount of money when they do reoffend. Now, it's still having those discussions, right? I think we as police officers, we see it day in and day out when we're dealing with offenders, be it violent offenders as well, and repeat offenders, that we're dealing with them over and over and over again. And we need to educate the public on that piece, and that we do need to make, greater grounds with respect to that. There has to be consequences for people that keep reoffending. And, if that's incarceration, it's incarceration. We just have to, I think a top priority for us as an association is the health and safety of our members, but it's also the public safety. It comes hand in hand. So we're quite supportive of that and strong advocates of that. And we're going to continue to do that in collaboration with the chiefs of police, commissioner, the other police associations as well. And even the OAPSBs, we're out there educating them as well. So, we're going to continue down that road, and we want to see more when it comes to bail reform.
Well, thanks, John. It's a nice segue into the next topic we'd like to discuss, and that's the mental health of our membership and their families. And it seems to be an ever-changing landscape of services for our members and their families that at times sometimes can become confusing. And Commissioner, I just want to put it over to you first. Can you discuss what the OPP is currently focused on with the Healthy Workplace team?
Yeah, absolutely, I can, Scott. And, the biggest focus for us, I think, over the last 12 to 18 months has been expanding the number of clinicians. We certainly started out the Healthy Workplace team with the thought that it would be more psychologist-led, with psychologists in each of the regions, and we quickly learned that we would have a more stable, accessible services through the use of clinicians, and very pleased to see that has grown tremendously. And unfortunately, we've had a number of cases this year, critical incidents where we've had the opportunity to deploy clinicians on a large scale for prolonged periods of time. And in those times of need, it's very encouraging for me to see that we do have that capacity available, and that it works in cooperation and alongside the Encompass program that the OPPA led and continues to manage. And I think underlying it all, Scott, I don't want to lose sight on the fact that I recognize and I realize that the mental health and well-being of our members starts with being appropriately staffed. And, just coincidentally, we were speaking with all of the detachment commanders this week, and we were looking back over, the last number of years. And since 2020, we have increased the number of officers on the front line by 910. And we're not done yet. We're entering into the second half of the service delivery model, and we're only halfway there. And our goal is to continue to add officers to the front line along with special constables to take workload away. Mental health starts with being appropriately staffed and then having all the other programs, initiatives, and supportive leadership that is necessary to create the environment that our officers and our members deserve to be operating in each and every day.
Now, keeping with mental health, John, I'll kick it over to you to give us an update on the OPPA's Encompass Mental Health Wellness Program.
Yeah, thanks, Emily, and I can do that. But I do have to give kudos to the commissioner when it comes to the mental health of our members. We've come a long way since the commissioner has come on now, I believe since 18. Is that when you came on, Commissioner? I keep forgetting now, but it's been quite some time. And, with the Healthy Workplace team and then a vision from the board of the day from the OPPA for the Encompass program, we have definitely gone in the right direction with this program. And I know that Dalton Associates, they manage our Encompass program. And we've seen a lot of positive comments with relation to our Encompass program, which is our 24/7 Circle of Care program. It's a 1-800 number, and it has a whole bunch of resources that do support our members from just a minor crisis to a major crisis when it comes to the mental health of our members. I can say in this last round of negotiations, we wanted to include more members of the OPPA, and not only that, I think it was more of that every employee should have access to a program or programs. It doesn't matter. It could be a crisis that is very, very minimal, or to a crisis that needs intervention. Our program itself with Encompass, even though we've seen many members, it's over 3,100 members access the program, that we continue down that road. And now that we have FXTs being covered who work alongside our full-time members, so FXTs are part-time members, we were able to extend that coverage to the FXTs as well as other management positions within the OPP that are not our members. And that just goes along, we just need to provide access to mental health care to all of our employees, because at any given time, any one member could be involved in an incident or view an incident that they just are not trained for. So right now we do have a number of members and families who utilize our program. It's a confidential program, of course. We call it the Encompass Mental Health Wellness Program. We do have a lot of information on our website. So for many members, if you can, get logged on to our website, not only for our members, but also get your family members to view what is offered by Encompass as well. And like I said, it's a 24/7 line. Doesn't matter what the crisis is. And it's a 1-866 number. And it's also, you can also reach our Encompass program through encompasscare.ca. So, I would just, my best advice to all my members when we're talking about Encompass is just get logged on to the OPPA website and view it that way. There's a lot of literature as well. Even if you do call head office, the 1-800 number, and ask for some documentation on that, please do. We just want to educate as many people as we can when it comes to mental health resources that we offer between the OPP as well as the OPPA. I think it's beneficial for every member to have that knowledge of the programs that we have, because you never know when you're going to need it.
Thanks a lot, John. I'm just going to review that number, 24/7. It's also got crisis response. It's 1-866-794-9117, or online at encompasscare.ca, and there's only one S in Encompass. And we're going to move on here to police memorials for a moment. In particular, 3 police memorials. A new one that was added this year, Ontario Police Suicide Memorial, and there's the Ontario Police Memorial Foundation's annual ceremony of remembrance that happens on the first Sunday of May annually at the Ontario Police Memorial at Queen's Park Crescent in Toronto. And the annual Canadian Police and Peace Officers Memorial. It happens the last Sunday of September on Parliament Hill in Ottawa. And Commissioner, over to you. I know you are very passionate about these events. Do you have anything to say about the memorials?
Thanks, Scott. And, I know that you share that same passion, as does President Cerasuolo. And I think they are the 2 most important events that we can plan for in the calendar year. We know the dates that they are every single year, and it is incumbent upon each of us to do our absolute best to be there, not only to recognize, remember, and pay our respects to a fallen, but to ensure that their families are forever remembered and supported. It's an opportunity for us to gather in solidarity, and from that solidarity comes strength. And I just continue to encourage absolutely everyone, if you can be there, please be there. And even more so, consider joining the run or the ride. You're going to have to get there one way or another. So why don't you consider running or consider riding? Because there's no better way to connect to your previous topic of mental health than to start with good physical health. So really hope that we'll continue to see increased participation in both of those events, Scott.
And now, John, I understand some people listening may not be aware of this, but I understand there are some funding provided by the OPPA to attend these events. Can you explain how that works?
Yeah, absolutely. We do provide some funding. Like the commissioner says, you know what? It shows solidarity and support for our fallen. And you know what? Having the funding available for everyone to attend, although we can't pay for every single thing, I know in collaboration with the OPP, if operationally they supply a vehicle, and we will supply funding for people to attend. And if there's overnight and meals that apply for them attending the 2 memorials, we will provide that funding. And it is through our website. There is a form on the website, but I always tell people, reach out to your branch executive. They will assist you with the form and get that submitted to head office for you, and you'll be reimbursed for attending these very important memorials. And you know what? There's no more sense of the feeling that you do get to go there to support the fallen. It just brings you year after year. And Commissioner, I am shining up my super cycle, but I don't think I'll be able to keep up with you and your team on the various rides. But kudos to the Ride to Remember and the Run to Remember. The number of participants that come out. I showed up at both days where they kicked off the ride and the run. And just to see the participants there, and everyone's just in solidarity and coming together for showing support to our fallen, and I think it's just an awesome thing to see. And you know what, I recommend to many of our members and to the other associations that come out. Please continue to do that and show the support. And Commissioner, I know you've done this for many, many years. You were in the original launch of the Ride to Remember, and you continue to do that year after year. And thank you again for showing your leadership. And it's just kudos to the whole committee that organizes it. And like I said, the numbers now are I don't have them with me, but just to see all the numbers and the participants, it's something to see for sure.
John, Scott, if I can jump in, if you don't mind, I just want to thank John for his acknowledgement and his commitment that will go to almost 10,000 members, that he's going to shine up his super cycle and join us. All kidding aside, John, every single year I am so proud of our organization on two fronts. One, I believe that you are the only police association that attends both memorials, and I include the new Ontario Police Suicide Memorial that was launched this year, in uniform, proudly in your number one dress. And that means a great deal to me. It means a great deal to our members, and it means a great deal to the families. And we are also the only police service whereby on the cycling teams, of which there are many, almost 200 riders, where there is representation from command and association executive. This is a joint initiative. This is a joint commitment. It's a shared passion. And I thank you for leading the way on that.
Thank you, Commissioner.
We're just we're coming down to kind of the final part of our episode here. There was a big legislative change that came into effect this year. The Police Services Act was kind of fully replaced by the Community Safety and Policing Act, which saw the regulations come into effect this year after a long process dating all the way back to 2019. And Commissioner, I was wondering if you could comment, what are the changes to policing in Ontario as a result of the new, it's known as the CSPA?
Thank you, Scott. If you don't mind, I'll just focus on a number of the most impactful changes, because there are so many changes that are found in the new act, and the ones that are impacting us the most. And first and foremost was the changes to training. So now the Ontario Police College has the responsibility for course training standards for majority of the training that we provide, and they must approve our course training standards or deliver the training themselves. And that has proved to be a bit of a challenge for us, in particular with our first special constable class, following the enactment of the regulations and getting our training approved by the Ontario Police College, who have been great partners. And our academy has done an amazing job with advancing the relationship with OPC to get all of our courses designated as we move forward. Some of the other changes that we're seeing impacting us is now the need for the numerous police services across the province who regularly call upon us for support, whether it be for public order or specialized or investigative services. They now have to make that request of me through their board. So it means I'm receiving a request from the board chair. I'm receiving a request from the chief of police. It has not inhibited us in any way in providing that support, but it has certainly had an impact on the administrative processes behind the scenes. And I think, certainly our detachment commanders can speak to the impacts of police service boards having to be reformed and now being something that they're having to navigate through, establishing those relationships with the new boards and the board training that goes along with that. So lots of changes from an administrative standpoint, but I'm hoping that our members in the field and in the specialty and investigative units and the civilian professionals who support them are not being hindered or feeling the impacts of some of the work that the teams are actively doing behind the scenes to make the transition seamless.
And staying on the same topic, John, I'll kick it over to you. Do you have any comments you'd like to make on the new CSPA?
We were consulted through the whole process, and it dates back to quite a number of years ago. It goes back to even pre-2017 when I started attending consultation meetings as the vice president with our past president, Rob Jameson. And some of the concerns that we had at the time is the talk about suspension without pay and things like that, and how it was going to be addressed and administered to members. Was it going to be for every single offense under the new act that they would be, looking at maybe a suspension without pay? And, like I said, we were involved in the consultation throughout. I think we were heard with our fellow police associations. And I do believe we landed in a spot where the suspension without pay would apply to serious offenses. And I believe it's defined within the Act as well. So, that was one challenge but I think we landed in a good spot for the membership with regards to suspension without pay. When it was enacted in April 1st of 2024, we thought that we would have a number of people that were suspended without pay, and we did not see that across the province. So, there are good parameters within the regs with regards to that to protect the membership. I think a lot of members were worried about that, but I think the chiefs of police, as well as the associations, really had that back and forth and the input with government to land this in a really good spot, that it's fair, it's reasonable for our membership. I think that the commissioner hit the point on the training piece. That's one thing that, we had concerns with because there's a standard and there'll be a continual standard. And we just got to make sure that our members are given the opportunity to be trained in a timely manner before, the Act, applies to them. And for example, it's the special constables right now. So we do have, and like I said, we've been in consultation, both groups, both sides, with the new regs. And, we did get a bit of an extension for our special constables to get the proper training, because it is a substantial amount of time as well. I think lastly, that, when you say challenges, good, bad, I think it's always good for us to have accountability in our profession. And we just got to make sure that, it is reasonable and it's fair. And I do think we're moving in a good position with that. I do believe that as we move forward with this, the accountability piece is there, and the public is being served, and the public can appreciate that we do have an act that keeps policing integrity at the top of everyone's mind as we move forward. So, I'm glad that we do have the new act, and like I said, as we move forward, I think we'll continue to deal with certain things that come out of the regulations. But at the same time, everyone has a voice here, and ultimately it's to have an accountability piece that's fair and reasonable to everyone.
Thank you, John. I also know that you have been working, as well as your team, at the OPPA and the entire board, and a lot of staff members, branch and the branch level as well, been working hard on the modernization of the OPP Association. Can you discuss what exactly that means, what the plan for 2025 and beyond is with the OPPA strategic plan?
Yeah, we're now into the point where we are going to be working on our strategic plan for 2025. So the OPPA Modernization Committee, led by a couple of our board, but with the whole board being involved, the OPP modernized way back in the mid-90s. We continue to still have our 20 branches. I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. We just want to continually look at, how we do business as an association and serve our members. And if it's 20 branches across the province, then that's what it is. If we have to increase or decrease, we're going to look at that. I think ultimately what we want to do is we want to be able to serve our members with efficient access to all the resources that we do provide our members, be it training, be it labor relations issues, be it legal issues as well. And, like I said, we have 20 branches across the province that provide that service to our members. Some are very, very busy, and some are not as busy. And we do have branches that range from 1,000 people in a branch to 100 people in a branch. So we're trying to look at every little piece that just makes us a little bit more modern and a little bit more efficient when we're trying to serve our members. That's the ultimate goal, is to support the membership with any type of issue when it comes to health and safety, labor relations, or the legal ramifications that sometimes do come up from doing our jobs. And, we talked about the accountability piece. in policing, we have to make sure that our members are properly served when it comes to that piece as well, and they're being held accountable.
Great. Thanks for that, John. Commissioner, moving into 2025, can you tell us some of your priorities?
Absolutely. I'm very happy to share some very specific priorities with you and then kind of wrap it up at a more strategic level. But right now, one of our main priorities is a project that we're calling Mission Control, which is getting one accurate source of data that we can rely upon to tell us what's trending and where we need to have our focuses across the organization, where we're spending our time, and where our needs are. That's a significant undertaking for us with all the various databases that contain information, and that's one of our top priorities. My most significant priority always has been and always will be staffing, ensuring that we are appropriately staffed. I mentioned the service delivery model previously is getting the necessary provisions in place that we can embark upon the next 3-year phase of service delivery model and maintaining our focus on officer wellness and officer safety, of course. Some of the more granular things that we're working on is increasing our capacity with investigative genetic genealogy. We have been establishing ourselves as an industry leader across this country, and we want to continue to do so by enhancing our capability there. We have really turned our minds towards increasing our capacity as it relates to money laundering. If we're really going to tackle serious and organized crime, we need to be able to get to the profit. We need to be able to look more closely at hate crime right across the province, and we're working on some enhancements there. And of course, the most recent topic that we're all hearing about in international news is border security and border integrity. We've got some very well-established and successful investigative projects and partnerships that we currently have, but we will be looking at how we can enhance our efforts collaboratively with CBSA, RCMP, and where we are able to contribute on that front. Focusing on fleet, getting more vehicles out in a more timely fashion, making sure that we've got a consistent supply of uniform apparel that our members are relying upon. And I think I would sum it up with one more specific initiative and then strategically. We're very, very fortunate to receive approval to start planning for the building of a new training center, a new provincial police academy on the grounds across from general headquarters. So we have commenced that planning, and I hope in 2025 to have a construction plan near completion for the necessary approvals to move forward with that. And we're certainly looking forward to taking delivery of a new jet, a PC-24, and a couple of new helicopters to help us out. And lastly, it's that continuous commitment to being a values-driven organization that's mission-focused and performance-proven. And my hope is that every member will be proud to be a part of our organization, and members from other police services will look in and upon us and be inspired by what our members do each and every day.
Thanks, Commissioner. John, over to you for your 2025 priorities.
Yeah, thank you for that, Commissioner. You know what? You're taking this organization into a direction that, with the various priorities, you're meeting the needs of what's happening and occurring presently within the communities of Ontario. From our perspective as the association, we work on a lot of committees that the Commissioner spoke to with regards to staffing, equipment, fleet as well, and we'll continue to work with the employer and bring the issues from the membership to the employer. That you're always willing to listen to the various issues, and I have to say, it's solution oriented. You bring solutions back to us, and that's, I think, one of the greatest parts of our collaboration. From the perspective of our association, benefits is the number one priority as we open up 2025 to get some benefit enhancements, secure our current funding. and be competitive with our policing partners when it comes to the benefits. Member engagement is still one of our biggest priorities. It'll be on our strategic plan on how we engage our membership, to become more involved with the association. And member services, another priority of ours. We always want to continue to provide knowledgeable and professional services when it comes to labor relations, legal indemnification training that we provide at the association. Ultimately, we want to be second to none when it comes to this piece and ensure that our members are well trained and are able to be represented with the various issues that comes up with policing and the accountability piece that we are all adhered to. I know we want to continue our collaboration with the chiefs of police when it comes to promoting our profession and attracting people to our profession. And I know that we're going to continue with the collaborative working group. And I also want to say that we're going to continue our relationship with the PAO, the Police Association of Ontario, and the Canadian Police Association when it comes to promoting our profession, as well as bail reform. We're going to continue to move that down the road as well, because we do need to have more stringent laws when it comes to bail reform. And we're going to keep pushing that and hold people accountable and to ensure that our members are safe, because if our members aren't safe, our communities aren't safe. And I think that's about it at this point. Back to you.
All right, thanks for that, John. So that concludes the questions that we had prepared. So, Commissioner, I'll kick it over to you. Is there anything else that you would like to add as we wrap things up today?
Overall, a big thanks to all of our members who serve in uniform and or support those who do. Very, very proud to be a part of this organization. Very grateful to President Cerasuolo and the OPPA for the partnership that we have that is focused on the best interest of our members. And would just like to close with wishing everybody a happy holiday season and all the best in 2025.
Thanks, Commissioner. We appreciate you joining us. And John, any last words before we go?
You know what? I just want to echo the Commissioner's words. I just want to thank the Commissioner and his command team and many of the regional commanders that we work with day in and day out, and bureau commanders as well. You know what? It's solution-driven, the collaboration that we have. We bring problems, and we try to find solutions at the betterment of the membership and the organization itself. We have a job to do, public safety, and bottom line, and the commitment to staffing over the last few years. We're starting to see a lot of improvements. The various other programs that we've put out there with regards to mental health, we're starting to see the fruits of that. We're seeing people come back to work, and that was one of the mandates and priorities behind having a mental health program and instituting that, was to get people back to work and get them back to a spot where they can be productive again, and we're starting to see that. I just want to thank all the members, for all the sacrifices they make every day to serve our communities, and I just want to say thank you for everything that you do day in and day out. And just wish everyone happy holidays, Commissioner. I hope you have some downtime to enjoy some your holidays with your family. And I know that things do come up, but I think everyone needs to have that balance, and you're a supporter of that, as well as the association. That we do support that work-life balance. And with that, the new year is coming, and looking forward to working with you in the new year on many of the priorities that we both have, both the OPPA and the OPP.
Likewise, thank you, John. Merry Christmas to you and your family, and all the best in 2025.
And I want to say thank you to both of you for joining us today. I know you're both very busy, and we really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Scott.
You have been listening to the 2024 Year in Review episode of the 10-5 podcast. As Scott mentioned, this will be our final episode of 2024. Beginning in the new year, we will be releasing monthly episodes rather than twice monthly on the podcast platform of your choice. Podcasts are also available on YouTube and on our website, oppa.ca. Please feel free to always reach out to us via email at communications@oppa.ca if you have any questions for our guests or if you have any ideas for future podcast episodes. For Scott and I, we wish you and yours all the best this holiday season. And until next year, thank you for listening and stay safe.